What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome on into the Brass Ring Media Podcast. It's our Thursday afternoon show for Thursday, June 26th, 2025. I am Zach Haydorn back here with you. That's Tyler Sage. He's been holding down the fort while I've been out on a little vacation, a little bit of a mental break. Man, Tyler, what's going on, dude? It's been a bit.
It has. Excited to be here. Excited to talk AEW with you and I. I feel like that's been the longest break.
That's been a really long time, yeah.
So, yeah, it's good. I've talked a lot of WWE recently, so it's good to get a little AEW in there.
For sure, because it's going to be a busy WWE weekend, too, for better or worse, with Night of Champions on Saturday from good old, quote-unquote, Saudi Arabia. The talent has landed there. There's already videos of CM Punk walking around and Randy Orton walking around Saudi Arabia. So they're there, and Night of Champions is on Saturday. We'll have all your coverage here at Brass Ring Media of that show. We'll have a written report up on Substack, and also Tyler and I will do a member-only pay-per-view PLE review of Night of Champions, like we always do for those big shows for our members. You can check that out by becoming a member. Patreon.com/Brass Ring Media is how you do that. More on Brass Ring Media membership in a minute. More on Night of Champions in a minute too. But let's dig into AEW, because they've got a really big show coming up. All In, July 12th, stadium show in the United States. They're obviously they're putting a lot behind this, right? You've got Okada and Omega. You've got Mercedes Moné challenging for the world title against Toni Storm. You've got a tag match now, the Young Bucks against Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay, with those EVP titles on the line, most likely. So they're loading this thing up, and rightfully so. It's the biggest show of the year. So why wouldn't you? The main event, though, I want to ask you about the main event, because last night on Dynamite, I was watching two top guys, in my opinion, for the company, Will Ospreay and Adam Page. And that really, the decision for Tony Khan was between those two guys as to like, who do you want in the big match at All In? Will Ospreay or Adam Page? And the other one slides nicely into this tag team match with the Young Bucks. And I think it's an interesting discussion to have now ahead of like the final analysis for this match. And that's, do you think Tony Khan made the right call? Like, and it came to me last night watching Dynamite that I wasn't sure based on kind of what I saw yesterday. It seemed to me like that audience is still like firmly hot, pumped for Will Ospreay. And it's not to say that they don't like Adam Page. It's not to say that Adam Page isn't like a top star in the company. I think he is. But I wonder, like, on the big stage, All In, big lights, new champion, like, I kind of think that like Ospreay is the hotter babyface right now than Page, in a different kind of babyface, where he's just this gung-ho, like, white meat, push forward, I'm going to wrestle for the title, I love this, AEW is my company, blah, blah, blah. And Page is more the laid-back babyface, the darker, twisted, kind of mixed up babyface. And again, two different babyfaces, two different types of characters, two different ideas. But do you think, based on what you've seen so far, like that he made the right call on this to go with Page in this big match and not Will Ospreay? I thought the reactions yesterday from the audience was interesting enough to bring up in this environment.
Yeah, also in Seattle, so you got to keep that in mind. Do the hometown Swerve partnership with Ospreay, maybe a little bit, a 5% difference.
True.
But yeah, it's one of those things that's hard to quantify and hard to, I think we all thought Ospreay was the way to go. It was shocking to see Page win, right?
Right.
So like that was a bold choice that has not necessarily been paid off yet on being the quote unquote right decision. I think either guy was okay to go with. I do think that this is like a lot of Tony Khan dealing with the criticism of having all his main events be so formulaic and you know exactly what's going to happen here. As a Will Ospreay, John Moxley match is a foregone conclusion that it's Will Ospreay winning. And Hangman Page being in there is certainly, I don't know, where are you at, 70-30? That's kind of where I am, at least, on getting the win here. But there's certainly a world where Moxley wins this thing. And, people don't go home happy, so to say. But that is like a big choice there. And, and it's all about the follow-up. And here's the other thing, like compared to last night versus the prior couple of weeks, Page did he talk at all last night?
Good point. No, he did not.
Yeah, so he's way more effective talking before or after a match, just having a promo, compared to like Will Ospreay's doesn't need to do that. Like he honestly gets hurt a little bit when he's talking too much. Will Ospreay, so they're kind of inverses of each other, where Page kind of needs to talk a little bit to maintain his babyface momentum, and Ospreay needs to talk a little less and just work more in the ring. So I think that was on display as well. And like Ospreay was in the hotter angle of like you officially get the Young Bucks thing last night.
Yeah. You
have Swerve, who's a hot act, comboing with him to go against them. And then Page is, taking on more Beast Mortos, which was a good match. We'll talk about it individually here. But, a solid match, then it gets beat down, and that's kind of the story, right? Kind of, he's not helped by the story there. So overall, the safe answer is like, I don't know. But I do kind of agree with the booking decision of like not knowing what's going to happen in the main event by doing it with Page. And but my overall opinion is like Ospreay seems to be the guy. And if you're not going to go with him now, does that hurt it going forward? I don't know. Maybe it does.
Yeah. Well, I mean, good analysis as usual. I mean, from Brass Ring Media Podcast is Tyler Sage here. I mean, it's important to note that like the outcome of this it really does matter, because if the idea is we want to get Moxley another win, then you definitely don't want Ospreay to be in that spot. Like to your point, I don't think you want Will Ospreay losing that world championship match. That would just be silly. But to your point, if you want to do a kind of a shock ending to this show and keep a lot of the heat on Mox, like you can beat Adam Page here. And so I think that's a good thing. That's a good thing to call out, because I think it because if you just stipulate, hey, whoever challenges Moxley at All In is going to win the world title, then I think you do have an debate whether it's okay, you're really going to you're not going to go all the way with Will Ospreay again. I mean, now this is 2 years in a row where you could have done something at All In or before that to really show fans like Ospreay's the guy. Ospreay's our guy. He's the guy that the company's the shoulders of the company is on, right on him. And if you don't, and if you go with Page instead, it's kind of like how much do you kick the Ospreay can down the road until it just doesn't become as big of a deal anymore, right? Like you just kind of keep kicking it, and people stop caring. And I think you don't want to have that for Will Ospreay. But this does. I mean, you've convinced me here that this does help, night of drama, when the match is in the ring, Page being there, because I think there is going to be doubt around whether or not he's actually going to win. It's in our chat. It's in our chat right now. We got Adam Kidd, one of our gold members, saying Hangman is going to lose. Zach responds here. It says, must you continue to spread your negative juju? And Adam says, Hangman loses there, beating him down. An 88-pound Darby Allin returns to save the day. Yeah. Boy, now you want to step too far, Adam. You want to step too far, my friend.
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly, that's the worst. It's bad. That's the worst. That's a bad scenario. That was like me when I was doing the math of if Swerve lost to Moxley and how much time was in between those shows, and being I don't know if I might be done with AEW, legitimately as my preferred company. Good thing WWE has not impressed me post that to maintain my first choice, my 1A ranking of AEW as a personal choice as a fan. But that would be certainly something to really reconsider your relationship with the company if that's the move they pulled.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, that would really be something if that's what they do, and this is all like a Darby thing. It's just miscalculated.
Yeah.
Adam, I don't think you're. I mean, maybe you are, but it doesn't sound like you're advocating for that with your note here. You're just calling it out. Mm-hmm. I think that would be an epic misstep, like an epic misstep for a company that I think has found its groove here in the last 2.5 months. This would be a huge step back. A huge step back.
Like, honestly, what did Moxley do to Darby? I don't remember.
I mean, he kind of like beat him up.
Yeah.
But who hasn't he beat up?
I know, but that was like post him winning? Didn't he like ruin an opportunity, like a pretty good opportunity for him? Or he just like won the title and beat up Darby?
Well, no, there was something more to it than that. I think Moxley like beat Darby to like get that title shot, didn't he?
Yes, that's what it is. Because Darby had won it in one of the convoluted ways.
One of the battle royals.
Yeah, which he'll obviously be at All In. Darby will. So
and Moxley beat him for it. Yeah,
beat him for the opportunity. Yeah, and then beat Danielson.
Yes. So that's
okay. Okay. Well, the fact that didn't like immediately pop up in my brain tells you it's not that compelling.
Yeah, that tells you all you need to know. Yeah. Let's pause this conversation real quick because there's more I want to get to on it, and I just want to set the table again for the show. This is the Brass Ring Media Podcast. We're live with this show 2 times a week right here on the Brass Ring Media YouTube channel. Don't miss it. If you're watching right now and you haven't hit subscribe to the channel. We got all sorts of different content that drops all throughout the week, every single day, right here at Brass Ring Media. It's free to subscribe. You can also get any kind of live show that we do here on YouTube also drops as a podcast on our podcast feed. And you can get that for free as well. Just search Brass Ring Media wherever you get your podcasts, and we will come right on up. We've got this show twice a week. Dominic D'Angelo has his daily wrestling hotline all throughout the week. We've got Robert Vallejos with Nocturnal Knockout once a week. The Kick-Ash podcast on Saturday mornings. All of that simulcast here and on the podcast feed. You don't want to miss it. So hit subscribe, turn on your notifications so that you don't miss anything that drops. We also have a variety of content dropping for our members on Patreon, patreon.com/brassringmedia. That is where you can go to see both membership tiers. We have a gold membership tier and a regular membership tier. For our regular membership, which is only $4 a month, you get our pay-per-view and PLE review shows, including Night of Champions this weekend, including All In a couple weeks. You get a member-only podcast once a week. You get access to the Discord community where everybody kind of just shoots the breeze and hangs out, all the members, and so many more perks and different content along the way. So give us a try. Give it a go. It's only $4 a month to do it. And you can find us on Patreon, patreon.com/brassringmedia. Also, if you're just on YouTube and you don't want to, go to Patreon, you can just literally click subscribe right now as you're watching this and get all of the member shows on YouTube now as well. So that is available to you. It's right there. Just hit subscribe. As far as today goes, want to welcome in our gold members and thank Adam Kidd for his gold membership, Sean Palikta for his gold membership. We appreciate you guys. Hello to everybody else in the chat. We got Tracy in there, and we got Zach, the boss, and others filing in as well. So thanks so much. If you want to get in on the action, drop in a super chat. That always is helpful for us. Always kind of helps keep the Brass Ring machine going. Any contribution amount helps, whether it's a topic that you have, a question that you have, you can drop in a super chat there. Also, we do have our mailbag open, brassrmedia@gmail.com. Cool. All right.
I have a logistical question.
Yes.
I was looking at WrestleTix. They're in a baseball stadium, and they only have 18,000 seats available for this?
Available or sold?
Well, they had like 15 sold, but it was set up for 18. That was in May per WrestleTix for All In. Yeah, I don't know. Is that true?
That's
Seems
true.
Okay.
I mean, well, I mean, look, I'm not counting, but I mean, I definitely take WrestleTix as the gospel.
Yeah, I just didn't know if they would set up for more. Like, I thought they'd try to get. I mean, it seems to me they should be able to get 30, no problem, for this event. But
I don't know, man. I mean, it would. So it would seem to me that they should, but I don't know. I don't think that they're going to. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think that. I don't think 30 is in the cards at this point. I mean, you've got. I mean, you've got all your. There's nothing they could add aside from like Roman Reigns or Steve Austin that I think would like move tickets, to that extent, to sell 10,000 more tickets. I mean, I don't know. I just don't. I don't think that's in the. I don't think that's in the cards. I really don't.
yeah, and I guess a baseball stadium in Dallas in the middle of July, open air. I think it's open air. Zach can confirm. I think it's an open air.
Good
stadium.
question. Good question.
But yeah, it's going to be 150 degrees with 200% humidity. So
it's going to be really hot. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, like the wrestlers too. I mean, goodness.
Yeah, under the lights too. Yeah.
God, is that really an open air stadium? Holy moly!
I think it is. Zach, if you can retractable.
Retractable. Okay. I was thinking, it's gotta be. There's no way. Like they're gonna make the wrestlers.
Yeah, just kind of an interesting choice, honestly, of like where to put it. I mean, they obviously have a good deal with like the local arena too, where they did like the Collision residency. Very interesting. I'm just like, I mean, Dallas is a big city, but it's not as big as you actually think it is comparatively to lots of other choices you can make to get like a population density performance. So interesting call by the company to do that, and I think that's kind of showing here in the total too. I think if they were in, a top 4 market in the country, they could get 30,000.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think, I mean, and this is with like, they've got StarCast out there, so they tried to make it like a thing, like a weekend convention, a la, All Out from a couple years back, or the first All In, and I just think that the momentum on that kind of thing, kind of ran its course a few years ago. But let me ask you this: do you think if Will Ospreay was in this main event, the show moves more tickets?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it makes a single difference between both of them.
Yeah, I don't either. So I mean, I don't think it's a testament to people think this is a bad card or that it was going to be a bad card. Like, I think most AEW fans, or that I hear from, or just my sense, covering this thing, is that I think people think this is going to be a pretty darn good show. If you go to it and if you watch it, you're going to be very happy that you did. There's a lot of cool potential moments, a lot of cool potential matches, a lot of historic level stuff in terms of like title changes, perhaps. Like, there's a lot that can happen on this show. It's just 15,000 or might just be where that company is right now in terms of what they can draw on the biggest stage here in the United States.
Yeah. And that's kind of wrestling in a nutshell, right? You kind of have 6,000 people at Raws when the show's really cooking, and then when you get 14,000, no problem. It's like typically in the I bet the 02 attendance is better than the 1998 attendance on Monday Night Raws, and they're vastly different products. So
yeah, well, right. I mean, and it does ebb and flow. They may get set up for 22, so they may get. I mean, they may get 22. I mean, they may get a quote unquote sellout by the time.
Yeah, I mean, they should at least pay. They should at least pay for it, if not. But like last night, I thought they did get set up, good film setup. They've done better of filming it to make it look big. So I think they'll do that.
Yeah, really. I mean, so what do you think? We're really having a broad AEW discussion. But what do you think about the fact that in 2 years' time, you do 80,000 in the UK for the first All In, or the second All In, I guess, and now you're at 18. what do you attribute that, 60K drop? Like, is it just fatigue? Is it just the natural ebb and flow? Is it, man, the MJF Adam Cole thing almost ruined the whole company? Did they just not have star power, enough? Like, what do you attribute that? Because that's a steep drop. You don't see WrestleMania, even back when it first started, going from 35,000 people to 10.
Yeah, I mean, so first the comparison is not, it doesn't explain the all 60,000 person drop, but I think it explains like 15 to 20,000 person drop is like the UK fans are the most diehard, like per capita fans of the sport, and they hadn't gotten any big events since 1992, like big pay-per-view events.
Yeah, because that's true. Yeah, SummerSlam '92, right?
Yeah, and then WWE follows up and does a bunch of shows in the UK and then through Europe. So it's like the first thing you can, I guess, most fans could like go to like a big live event, a big pay-per-view for the first time in their entire lives. Like, like Raw on Monday, Michael Cole, it's been in town 27 times, and then the 3 pay-per-views they've hosted that Columbus has, and I've been at literally 20 of those Raws in all 3 of those pay-per-views. Mm-hmm. So like that's a lot in Columbus, Ohio, that I get an opportunity to go see live without having to travel. And like you don't have that in the UK, you just build up a big fan base. That's different there. Oh, obviously the main thing to me, it's funny you brought up that the Cole and MJF thing almost killed the company, which it did. Which is like not something you should look past on both of them, I think, in perpetuity if you're Tony Khan. Yeah. But, WWE's hot, and they did 14,000 people in Columbus for a random Raw, like I said. So when you have the major number one company doing that, there's only so many wrestling fans. There's more dollars in wrestling, but there's, 10%, 15% of the fan base from the late 90s peak era that are into it hardcore. So you only have so many human beings. And, WWE is soaking up a vast majority of those human beings for live events. And that does hurt AEW. So I think those are the two combinations, like the biggest, hottest crowd you're ever going to get. And like, that thing sold out without announcing a single match.
Right.
Which is like, in hindsight, should tell you like, this is not sustainable. And that's kind of what WWE is going through right now. And I think they will like certainly decline live attendance while AEW is increasing. And, so if like, let's say weekly, how many people were at Dynamite last night? 3,500?
3,000?
Yeah. So that if you just do the numbers of like all the shows, I bet it stays pretty flat. If AEW gets up to 8,000, that means Raw's getting down to 11, right? It's like, not that they're in the same cities, but I just think that that's like kind of a good way to look at it.
Yeah. We got some comments in the chat about this. We got Adam says here, this show would look so much better at the Mavs arena. So I want to talk about this in a second after I run through some comments. Adam also says here, Mania went back to arenas after stadiums. It did. It definitely did. My point was not to argue that it didn't. It was to just say that when it went back to arenas, that because business was really bad. Like it's because Hogan was gone. It was because they couldn't draw as well. They couldn't draw in the stadiums anymore. So they had to go back down, which is kind of my point, but not articulated well. So thanks, Adam. Want to go back to the show would look better at the Mavs arena. So Adam, I agree with this in theory and in practice. Like I think if you take this show and you put it in the Mavs arena, it definitely looks better on a one-off. But I think that as a company, as AEW, as a company that's trying to kind of appear to be on the level of the WWE or, carry that type of weight, that type of fanfare, that type of live event experience. Like, I think you have to have like a stadium show on your calendar. Like, I think you have to have a show on your calendar that like screams, this is different from every other show. This is the big honking show of the year that everybody wants to get on, that everybody wants to be on, that fans in 20 years will be talking about, kind of like they do WrestleMania now, but in its own, all in kind of way. Like, I think you need this type of main attraction, huge event as like a building block for your booking. Like you have to have something that signifies like this is the absolute pinnacle. Like this is the tip top of where you can go. If you're an AEW, you want to be in the last shot, holding the title at All In. And I think that there's some perception things around it, like being in an arena, that help kind of signify that to fans. So it puts the onus on the company to shoot it well, to hide the empty seats well, to have a really kick-ass stage and all of that. You have to make that look great, especially if you are not packed to the brim. But I think from a perception perspective, I think it is important to have this in a stadium, even if you're only going to put 18,000 in there.
Yeah, I mean, kind of dress for the job you want, right? Not the job you have.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's all about the execution. And, you know, if, I don't know what, let's say 1 million people see this pay-per-view through illegal means and legal purchasing, and then later on Max, et cetera, right? How many of them care about the number of people in the crowd or even think about that?
Right.
You can shoot it well, and, you know, 1% of people are going to like, well, actually, they only had 18,000 people in that arena.
Yeah.
You know, like,
it just has to look good. Yeah.
Yeah. Like how many people were in the arena? What WrestleMania is it? Is it 22?
Dude,
23?
22 is in my
Seattle?
backyard. No, 22 is in Allstate Arena. Like that thing has 10, 12,000 maybe.
Yeah. What's the Jericho Triple H? Is that 23?
That's
And where the Mariners play? Isn't that where they play?
18. That's 18.
18. Okay. Is that where the Mariners used to play? They have
Jericho and the
yeah. I think that's like a baseball series at Houston. Was that the Astrodome? I don't know. It doesn't matter. But I remember, like, if you do something like that where you can shoot it and make it look good, is the moral of the story. So that's the overall point. I agree with you broadly that you want to shoot for that. I'm just honestly surprised that that's where it is. But again, I think it's like also I just don't think Dallas is like the hot spot for AEW. Like, I don't think they'd get more in Jacksonville, but, you know, I don't know, just like Atlanta, I think you could probably get more people where the Braves play than you could in Dallas, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if they got like a deal or like if they're getting paid to go there, you know, like to bring the show there, like WWE does in these places sometimes, or all the time now. I wonder if that's a part of this. Okay. So last night, what did you think of the heat angle at the end with Adam Page and Moxley, you know, and Will Ospreay running out to make the save? Page is attacked by the Young Bucks, and then he's attacked by Mox and the Death Riders. Like, I honestly, like, I think that we need, my perspective on this is that you want kind of a lot of this going into All In. Like, I think you want it to feel like Adam Page is just not going to be able to overcome the odds. He's not going to be able to overcome the Young Bucks. He's not going to be able to overcome Moxley. He's a fighter, and he's going to grind it out, and he's going to keep coming, and he's going to keep coming, and he's going to keep coming, but it's just not going to happen. I think you wanted the story to be like he's facing these overwhelming odds to win the championship. So it makes Moxley's words about, you know, not being worthy of the title or not having it, you know, to be a top guy, like, it makes those ring true. It makes that really heelish in nature if Moxley says that, and then, you know, there's this environment around Page chasing the title that's just not something he can overcome. So yeah. I don't hate the idea of just heat going into this, and maybe just like a quick babyface comeuppance, a little bit of one, you know, on the go home show or something to get people, you know, excited, you know, tuned up to Page. Maybe he can actually win. But I am on board for the, you know, just pile all the heat you can on this, because I think that's the way at this point, because of how they booked Jon Moxley as this kind of boring, plotting, you know, champion that wins. Like, the more that I think you beat the fans over the head with that, like, the more anticipation and more drama I think you can build around on the night of to make a Page win pop.
Yeah. I agree with, like, the academic approach that you took with last night's booking decision. I found it terribly boring.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm just saying, was it effective?
I would think,
can it be?
Like in the moment I'm watching it, and that's like if I'm like watching it, that's more me as a fan, and then when I reflect back, that's more me as an analyst. And as a fan, I'm like, I've seen this a million times, and this is not effective. What could be effective is like if Moxley runs through like what he's actually done on this title run, or if the announcers actually talk about like, hey, he ended Danielson's full-time career. He and the Death Riders took out Swerve Strickland when he should have won. You know, like this is kind of where you need like Tony Schiavone to be like that voice of the audience of being like, this is total BS. I'm tired of this. Like all he does is cheat, and he's beaten everybody in front of him by cheating, and that's all he does to win. And he's taking out the best except for Hangman's the only one left, and he's getting beat down every week. And the good guys can't figure it out. You know, you got to like get those superhero tropes in there. Like we are like near the third act of a superhero movie here, right? Where Iron Man and Captain America don't get along, and whatever. Ultron is over there just like taking over everything, and there's no chance you think they can win until the last minute, right? And we're not getting that as effectively as I would like. It's more like, hey, go out there and do that. And like the Ops came out, right, and did backup for.
Yeah, they keep bringing the Ops out. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that also doesn't help. Like I understand why you don't bring out Swerve and Ospreay based on, you know, you don't want to release that until probably the event itself, which makes total sense. But like the Ops is just not. It's better to have Hangman not have any friends. I mean, the Ops are Dark Order.
Yeah.
But like at a biker bar or something.
It's true. I thought the same thing with the Ops. I was like, really? The Ops again? Like, okay. They've proven they can't really save Adam Page from this. Right. So why do you keep running out there? Yeah.
Again, I don't think if Ospreay's in that same spot, it's any better either. If that's like a follow-up.
Okay, that's what I was going to follow up with. I was going to say, do you think there's more that there'd be more do you think that like just that attack from Moxley and the Death Riders, does it get over more because it's Ospreay and people are still coming around on Page? I mean, I think it's, I don't know, worth calling out, but I'm with you. I think generally, like, I don't think it would have mattered.
I think it's a Death Riders thing more than anything. Like the way Mercedes attacked Tony, that was different and new and exciting. I like that a lot. And if Moxley did something like that, you know, just to not do the exact same thing every time, because then it makes the babyface look stupid. Of like, really didn't know, like, okay, you don't think Moxley is going to come out here and like attack you? He attacked you last week backstage in your dressing room or whatever. So it makes like Page look pretty ineffectual. Also, just never good for a babyface.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how they can go, how long they can go with this. I mean, Moxley cut, you know, another pre-tape promo. His promos, man, they land less and less to me, you know, than they used to. You know, I mean, I still think, you know, we have a rule on this show, like if you're AEW, run stuff by Jon Moxley before you do it, and 9 times out of 10, he's got a pretty good instinct. I don't know, maybe it's like 7 out of 10 now.
Yeah, I haven't said that for a long time. I think there's a reason for it. So.
Yeah. But I'm watching the promo last night, and I'm just like, what are you saying? Like, I mean, there's parts of it. It's like a Bray Wyatt promo. Like, there's parts of it that are good and make sense, and other parts where I'm just like, wait, what is this guy? What is he talking about? What's he going on and on about? And I kind of had that mixed feeling yesterday.
Yeah, I would say for me, it's like pre and post Rocky 3 CM Punk match for Jon Moxley and AEW. Honestly,
boy, that was a long time ago.
I also have another quick question. I know we're like probably not going to talk much Dynamite today as a result. We're talking broadly AEW. Though.
Yeah.
But like, if CM Punk was in the company, what do you think he'd be doing at the show?
Oh man,
because
boy,
basically you'd have the same cast of people around him. Like, I don't think they would have any less talent than they currently have if CM Punk was still there.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I think he'd probably be. I mean, I'm not saying that I would argue for this, but he'd probably be in the mix. Like maybe he'd be a heel champion against Adam Page or a heel champion against Will Ospreay. Like I think he'd be working with that tier that tier. He'd be working with Ospreay, with Swerve, with Page, that tier, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Or the Zach says in the Casino Gauntlet match. I don't think he'd be in tag team mode yet, but I think he'd be
I don't know.
Pretty goddamn close.
Yeah, pretty close. I mean, because at this point you got to assume okay. So did he work last year's All In, All Out, or whatever? No, he didn't, right?
No, I mean he's in the second London one. Is his last show? Is that 22?
His 22? Second. Well, wait, no, he was in the first All In, right?
Was that the first one?
Well, there's only been 2.
Yeah.
So yeah, so he was in the first one and he wasn't in last year, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, because last year was all about Danielson and that.
Him and Joe opened the show.
That's it. And no, because that was the big fight. That was the big Jungle Boy fight backstage. Was that show? Okay. Yeah. All right. So, at that time in AEW, he'd already worked with Adam Page. He'd already worked with Jon Moxley. He'd already worked with MJF. He'd already worked with Eddie Kingston. So you take all those people off the list. Really all you have left is something with the Young Bucks, maybe Swerve. And Will Ospreay. Yeah. So I think it'd be one of those two.
Syndicate, I think it would be fun.
Syndicate, yep.
I mean, honestly, I'm glad we missed it, but him and Edge definitely would have been a thing.
Yeah, that's not something that I don't need to see that. I don't need to see that. I definitely don't need to see that one. But yeah, I guess man, okay, you've got this. I mean, Okada, you could do an Okada match. Kenny, forgot about that. You don't want to. They missed out on Kenny and Punk. They didn't get to do that one. So definitely some options.
Probably for the best.
Yeah. It would have. That match would have had high expectations, really high expectations that I don't know could deliver on.
Punk's in the right place.
Yeah,
it's
not Saudi Arabia, but yeah.
I think he's right where
he is. Yeah,
he's right where he needs to be, in my opinion. But I just think that was more what I was getting at. I was trying to lay that out of some wrestlers fitting better in other companies. So
yeah. You mentioned Mercedes Moné and Toni Storm. I was really glad to see that match get that angle yesterday on Dynamite, because I think you just kind of had, to me, that there was just an undertone of silliness going on between those two. Mercedes Moné eating dinner out there at the thing, and then they're smelling each other's necks and whatever the hell they were doing, and there just wasn't that element of we're serious about fighting and trying to beat each other to win this championship. And finally they got a little bit of that into the mix yesterday, with just a straight up heel attack with a short little promo by Mercedes Moné. To your point, it was done in a unique way. I thought this was a very important chapter in Mercedes Moné and Toni Storm, to take it out of silliness mode and into world championship mode. Because right now, I mean, I don't think this is, even with yesterday, I don't think this is as hot as the Mariah May Toni Storm feud by a wide margin. I don't think they've even come close to touching that. So they got a long way to go to get there. I don't think they will, but this was a step in the right direction to get this to be a more serious match that it just wasn't presented as before.
I think if that's going to get there, that's a 3-match over a year standpoint. So right. You probably want this to be Kenny and Okada in New Japan between those two.
Yeah.
And this is a good first step. I think that's in the middle, right? Of I think the Kenny, of the big 3 matches for me, the Kenny Okada match has always been what it was. I don't need a huge build personally. This one has gotten a solid build, and I do think the main event, the Moxley Page stuff, needs to be more elaborated upon of how dangerous Moxley is, because as the fans do just kind of find him annoying and boring, and it needs to be pressed upon how you just don't pin this guy in the course of AEW. How many times has he been pinned in a singles match since 2020?
It's crazy, man. I mean,
under 5 times, I would say.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's the most protected guy.
Dude, I don't even know that I can name 5 times.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Punk beat him.
Punk?
He lost to, who did he lose the title
MJF
to?
beat him? MJF beat him, right?
Yeah. I mean, he lost the title 3 times, right? Because he's been a 3-time.
Punk, MJF, Kenny.
Yeah. Like, has he lost another singles match straight up? Or even like with. So just like that should be like pounded into your brain as an audience member.
That's a really good point.
Adam Page has lost like probably 25 times. And John Moxley's lost 3 times. Or something, whatever it is. Like, I just want more of that in there for this sort of event to make it feel like, oh man, the Death Riders are gonna, God damn it, I hate this company. You know, that's sort of like, you don't want to like get to that exact point, but you want to be like, I hate the Death Riders. This sucks. Oh, he is gonna lose, isn't he? Like, you want Page to be the Indiana Pacers, but Halliburton doesn't tear his Achilles in the 3rd quarter, because they certainly would have won, in my opinion, right? So it's like,
yeah,
it just needs to be there that he is a huge underdog for real, and they're not. It's more feels like, okay, well, this is the end of the Moxley run because it's been a long time. So.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. I think it's a great point, and I think that if you're Moxley, you should like incorporate that in. Like, it doesn't have to all be. You could still have your Moxley promo style while talking about stuff that actually happened in the ring. Like you can even just say it like you said it. Like, look, I don't get beat in AEW. I haven't gotten beat in 5 years. I've gotten beat 4 times. You know that. I mean, like, just call it out. I mean, like, there's nobody like more authentic than John Moxley to have like that conversation with the audience. Like, and when he says it, I think it can be, you know, menacing and a reminder of like, damn, yeah, this guy's been dominant for 5 years, 6 years in AEW. I think it's a really good point on your part. Do you like, for this event, do you main event with Okada and Omega? Is that an option if you're booking the show, or do you go world title here? No question about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's world title. No question about it. You know, if you could transport their bodies 10 years in the past, then yes, I'd probably main event with that. So you can go like an hour draw or something. But yeah, I think it probably opens the show, honestly.
Yeah, I think you probably do want it to open the show.
Because I think, like, well, it's hard because we have to see the final thing. One of those battle royals probably actually is a better way to open and then be in the middle. Like, Tony does like to do the big 3. He'll probably do the big 3 in a row. Like, Kenny Okada, the women's match, the men's match. I think is probably how we'll close the show, which I respect that. I kind of like that as a fan. But
I do too. I mean, New Japan books that way. You know, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, UFC books that way.
UFC books that way. Yep.
Like, boxing is that way. So
yeah, I appreciate that too. I'm with you on that. We got a super chat from Sports Talk with Austin here, and says, and I thank you, Sports Talk. We appreciate you very much. Thank you. And it brings up a very interesting point. It says, if Hangman does not win, is this Cody Rhodes WrestleMania 39 all over again? What say you, Tyler Sage?
So is it good? Is what we're asking. Right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess that's the.
Does it lead to a worse WrestleMania moment or a worse All In moment? No, I'm just being petty now.
Well, I mean, like, I think that you have to call it out. Like, do you think WrestleMania 39 was good or bad? Because, like,
yeah. Oh, I loved it. I still love it. I think it's such a bold
I know
choice.
you did.
And it like totally enhanced the Roman Reigns character to go a whole nother year because no one thought it was going to happen. You squeezed so much more juice out of that. You got Jey Uso to where he is currently. Like, you don't have Jey Uso and Roman Reigns at SummerSlam without that decision. Right. You don't have like Jacob Fatu being part of the breakaway bloodline that made him initially over with the audience. So like, there's 2 main event guys you created just by that one decision, and you got Cody Moore over as a result. So there's like no doubt in my mind, it's one of the best decisions that Triple H ever made as a booker to do that.
Yeah,
right?
Now, but here's the thing. Here's the thing I would say to that though. Like, I think you're right on that. I don't think that you can apply that logic to this match with Hangman Page and John Moxley. Like, John Moxley is not Roman Reigns right now. He's flatlined. And I think if you know, when you gave Roman Reigns that win, you gave him a lot more to do. And with Moxley, it's just like, well, you have the Ospreay match, and then that's about it. Like, there's no, where do you go after after that.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if Kenny wins, then it's Kenny trying to align everything too as an option.
okay, yeah, you could do that.
Be the savior, and they have obviously the longest like back and forth in AEW history. Being closing like the second pay-per-view ever? Question mark. With the lights out match.
Mm-hmm.
The thing here is like you can piss it, like this could be like that, but it's like the Cody Rhodes character is like Will Ospreay, Swerve Strickland, Hangman Page, and Kenny Omega are all Cody Rhodes together as like the Avengers of AEW. So like if you do that, a bad choice to have Moxley run all the way to the next big show. Would advise against that, but it would be one of the other three guys that's not Hangman Page that would avenge the loss, in my opinion.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Like this would be, kind of like Kevin Owens losing to Roman Reigns, like just something for Roman to beat along the way, so you get to the eventual bigger guy. I don't think it's a broader story, so it's a good question, and it's like a good comparison topic of discussion because it's close to the same, but it isn't. It really isn't when you start breaking it down. All right, we got one last quick question here that I want to get to. We'll finish up on this from Zach. Zach says here, thoughts on Kota Ibushi? I don't think Kota Ibushi. This is my 2 cents. I like Kota Ibushi. I think he's had some of the best matches that I've ever seen in the ring. Period. Like just some incredibly stellar in-ring stuff from him throughout the years, and there's no question about that one. I don't think he needs to be a focal point of AEW. I think he's lost like 10 steps in the ring, which is where he shined, like that. I mean, that's what he did. And so if he loses it there, he doesn't have it elsewhere to make him a top guy. I mean, he is Shibata to me at this point in time. And if you're him and you don't want that to be your legacy, like, I wouldn't be doing this right now. But if I'm Tony Khan, like that's how I'm using Kota Ibushi at this point. They're going to get a good match out of him next week with Okada. That's kind of cool, but I'm not investing in Kota Ibushi as a star at this point.
Yeah, I'm in my kitchen, so I had to grab a prop for my.
I can't wait to see the prop. I saw you do it. I'm like, he's grabbing a prop.
Put a fork in him. He's done.
He's done. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's like if you sign Naito, right? If you're Tony Khan, this would be exactly what you're getting to. So it's a good reason not to. Just like when you're, especially going into another country where you're not speaking, you're not cutting promos. It's just like when your work rate is what it is, and now you have to put him in a trios group where he's like, he's the worst wrestler of the trios group or the second best at best. Just like, and like to see some of his matches like pre-pandemic, man, in New Japan, when it seemed like he was going to like revitalize that company, when it was like, oh, it's kind of wavering here, and like him and Okada, like some like super duper underrated New Japan stuff.
Him and Tanahashi, man, that
and 21 too. Yeah,
incredible.
I mean, yeah. So, it is sad to see, but hey, like that's how it goes sometimes. I just don't think he should be a focal point. At all, and the audience doesn't have the same love for him. I mean, if Okada doesn't get over hugely, then Kota Ibushi is 10% of that, honestly, of like the aura of Kazuchika Okada. I
agree. All right, guys, we'll wrap up there. Thank you so much for joining. Glad we got to spend here nearly an hour talking about AEW. Don't forget, this weekend, we've got Kick Ash Podcast on Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern with Ashley. Don't miss it. It's one of the best shows going right now. For sure. Don't miss it. Subscribe, and that way you can turn on your notifications and make sure that you know exactly when she goes live on Saturday mornings. Tyler and I are going to go record a member show. That'll drop probably tomorrow sometime for our members. Check out our membership. Patreon.com/Brass Ring Media is how you do that. We'll have a Night of Champions review show up. I'll have my written column on Night of Champions in the newsletter this weekend as well. So lots of stuff happening with Brass Ring Media. We thank you for joining us today. Thank you to our Super Chatter Sports Talk with Austin. And thank you to our Gold members, Adam Kidd and Sean Palikta, and everybody else who tuned in. We so appreciate it, and we'll talk to you guys really, really soon. Tyler, see ya.